kind of, this is such a weird angle. I hate the way the camera flips your face around. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I know.
It drives me nuts.
Yeah, you're like,
I have one side of my face that's better, and it always uses the shitty part of my face. Hold on, let me just make this flat, or my hair's like, I have a carlick. Okay. Look at, I have like a 1980s private school haircut going on right now. I'm like, it's like Nightingale. I'm like 18 again with the side hair and everything. Okay.
I got the Ralph Lauren Oxford Derby. We're really living out.
I know. I'm living my Burberry little shirt on and shit. Like, my little, this is one that has like a regular collar. See?
Ah, my goodness.
There.
Yeah, I have, funny enough.
I could be like, I could really be 80s. Look, I could do this.
Oh, that looks
Remember
really
that?
Good, actually. Oh my goodness, yes. Funny enough, okay, this is weird. I was wearing my Burberry belt today. Like, we probably have like some sort of brand intuition or something.
Oh my God, we're psychically connected through our brand names.
Fashion choices.
I love it. All right, so I'm ready when you are, or if you're already recording, I'm ready for you to start however you want.
Sure thing. All right, let's get ready.
Okay.
All right, ready? One.
I think so.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Andrew's Lifestyle. Today, I have the one, the only, did you know, 25,000 Dana Wilkey. Now, you guys, I'm not going to play favorites, but Dana's probably the best person I've met in a while, so hats off to Dana for agreeing to do this. As you guys know, I've been on Dana's podcast several times. Her Patreon is great, and not even the episodes I'm on are fantastic. I'm talking the people she has on, what she is talking about. You guys cancel your page 6 subscriptions and come join Dana's Patreon, because the information you get is next level.
Thank you, love. Thank you. Anyway, the Patreon's called Dishing Drama Dana Wilkey. And so you look up that on the Patreon, you could find it.
Yes. And amazing podcast. Again, I've been on there. We have talked about housewife PPP loans in depth, political donations, jets, Luann de Lesseps. If you guys want to hear about Luann de Lesseps, you can hear about some really crazy stuff she's done.
Yeah, we covered the Black Hawk helicopters in Tom's building. Do you remember that? We covered Sonia Morgan's family scandal with we've done so much stuff on that. The Patreon is like my Reddit, you guys. It's like my Reddit. So you know, if you want to find I don't know, like all my secret thoughts and everything is in there. So
yes. So we're kind of doing 2 videos today. We're talking about Beverly Hills from last night, and which is so special, you guys. I hope you guys can understand how, like, a privilege you guys have by listening to a real insider's opinion on the episode live, like, right after the episode. It's very special. But then we're also going to be talking about Dana's time on the best documentary of the year, which was The Housewife and the Hustler from ABC News. It was so well put together.
It was.
Come a chameleon. I mean, everyone was great. And hopefully you guys are going to walk away with some knowledge that you guys didn't have before.
Yeah, for sure.
So one thing I want to start with is last night's episode. They really picked a boring title for that episode, The Dinner Party from Hell, Part 2.
Well, no, they just keep calling the same shit, the same titles over and over again. Like, how many dinner parties from hell are we going to have? I mean, like, just come up with something different.
Yes. And, you know, we're just going to ask each other point blank. We both think Erika isn't guilty in all of this. Yeah.
You're going to say what? What are you saying? I'm going to be like Kyle on last night's show. So, what are you saying? What are you saying? Are you saying that you think she's guilty?
Erika's financial problems have more holes than in her jacket from last night. Like, all those holes in her stories than in her jacket. I'll just say that, because we keep finding out stuff, and just like, you said something really powerful a couple weeks ago. Like, the person in the editing bay, he's like, I cannot help this woman. I cannot piece it together.
Yeah, he doesn't know what storyline to even stick to at this point to help her, because it's like it's so sporadically, you know, different throughout. But I mean, I was surprised. When do you think last night's episode shot? Like January?
I was going to say probably like the first week of January is my best guess.
So the first week of January.
because everyone had come back from like Christmas and like everything of that, and everyone had just come back from their Christmas trips. So that's my guess.
I was trying to think about when Mauricio and Kyle's anniversary was. Like,
I know, you actually know her. Like,
I know, everyone forgets. I gotta try to think about that. Let me see if I can remember. I mean, they didn't show her Christmas party. No, they did. Who did they do the Christmas? Oh, they did do it, but they did like a bullshit one. Because Kyle has a Christmas party every year. All right, well, let me think about that. I'll try to remember. But if it was January timeframe, I guess there hadn't been that much information that had been disseminated yet, if that's the case. Yeah. Which explains why everybody was a little hesitant at the table to go hard for Erika.
Yeah. And like Erika's Twitter rant last night, I know we're like jumping all over the place here, but if you guys saw Erika's Twitter rant, she was being insane last night.
Oh, like, tell me. I didn't see. I saw her cryptic Instagram message where she just wrote Girardi, period, which everybody was trying to figure out. I almost wrote on mine Wilkey, period. But then I thought, no, when I thought about what she meant, I think she was trying to say that Tom Girardi's guilty. Like, this has got only to do with, like, even though it was her last name. Yeah.
I can't.
I think that's what that meant.
Yeah. And then she posted things about how saying at the reunion she's going to go ham on Kyle for not believing her. She's going to go, like, she apparently got delivered some cannolis and she wanted to leave. She kept responding to people's comments, but not people who, like, I hate to say this, not your Twitter comments, not Ronald Richards' Twitter comments. She is not giving us, like, high-powered people responses. She's just giving, you know, just the everyday fan responses, which is very telling because she's afraid that people like you, Ronald Richards, but everybody watching them right now to see her response to you, because she just doesn't have one.
Well, no, I don't even think that's really. Can I just say this? I think Erika is obsessed with being a celebrity. For her, this is all showing what a big celebrity she is. She is loving the cryptic messages she's throwing out, and the people are scrambling to see it. You know, she's really like feeling the power of that. Okay. I think that, first of all, let me say this. When I communicate about Erika, I don't really give a shit what Erika says. I never say it at Erika because I don't care about what she says. I have my own opinion about her. And frankly, I've done my own due diligence and I've derived my own opinion. I don't like need her, you know, yesing it or knowing it, you know, like,
yeah.
And that's what's frustrating when you watch the show, because you're listening to these women and they're like saying things, but then they're sort of backing down a little bit because they care about her opinion. And that comes from filming on the show. You know what I'm saying? But in reality, it really, in this instance, it should really be you do your research as a person or as a friend, right? And you either have this blind commitment to the friend and you don't care, which I guess is Lisa's take, Renna, right? Yeah. Or you take a more educated approach like Sutton and you're like, I'm just not buying what you're selling. But at that point, you should be in a position where you're like going, look, I just don't believe you. I don't believe anything you're saying. And until you build that trust back up with me that I can believe what you're saying, because there's been so much disparity in what you're saying, I can't, nothing you say, you know, and you can say my opinion doesn't matter. Your opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's interesting, and well, it's great that you brought up Sutton for a second, because I just want to let people know that, and I spoke about this in the last video I did about Beverly Hills, that Sutton offered to give Erika a loan. That was the friendship Sutton thought she had with this woman, like, which is insane to me. And of course, Bravo like cut that in the editing bay from being in the main episode, so it was in the never before seen episode. There are real implications if Sutton was involved.
Oh no, that's another thing that it is a big deal, that because again, Sutton's like, I could have lent this woman money and it could have implicated me in this situation, like somehow she was hiding money and was returning it in some way to Erika in like a loan. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So like any kind of like, again, I brought up this example. If I borrow a ring from Erika, I don't know any of this shit's going on, and she lets me, maybe she's manipulating me even. Like, oh, you've always loved that ring. Just take it for a few months. I don't mind. I've got plenty. And I don't know what's going on, and I'm like an idiot. Then I could keep the ring and be hiding an asset from the estate without even realizing it. I give it back, which any human would do. And I look like I've implicated myself now, like I'm hiding an asset.
Yes, exactly. And we see right here, and Sutton is, and like, you guys, being like, I live in Potomac, everybody knows that, and Dana, of course, has been on the show. We know what, like, in these social circles, that when this happens, I remember there was a person who, my best friend's parents committed tax fraud. Like, they literally, like, were taken out on
That's really tough.
And my parents,
oh my god, they got taken out on the lawn.
Yeah, they were like, they had the zip ties behind their back so they couldn't run. Like, this
oh my god,
large-scale tax fraud. And like, my parents were like, we can't hang out with him anymore because we don't want to look like we're closely associated. So please, Erika, don't say that, you know, you also never lived in Beverly Hills and Sutton was, you know, Sutton's on the board of actual museums. Her image does matter. You know, and I hate that excuse. Just because someone isn't a visible celebrity or visible in a front means that they matter, you know?
No, but I was also laughing because I'm like, you know, Crystal Minkoff, she was like, oh, I've never known her at the club or whatever. Like, Crystal Minkoff would ever belong to that club unless her husband was RHOBH Minkoff. Like, it's just like, right? I love how all these women are like, I deserve this huge accolade, you know, to look down on people when I didn't earn anything. Like,
right? Oh,
I mean, I get, like, Kyle helped Mauricio. I'm not including her because Kyle was, like, worked her way up with Mauricio in the world. And yes, she had some things that, you know, gave her an advantage, but not really. And so she has a right, I suppose, to be on a pedestal and, like, be snooty to the other girls, you know, because she earned it. But, like, when I hear, like, a wife, you know, like, who had no, you know, like, what were you before? Like, you were a receptionist at, like, an escort agency. And so now you're looking down on people because they aren't in your country club. And by the way, the country clubs, I want to point something out. The country clubs in LA, a lot of them were, I'm not sure if they still are, were very racist. Okay? So I was like, holy shit. Wow, is that a whopper that just came out of Crystal's mouth after the episodes we saw in the beginning? Wow.
Right? I want to be honest. This country clubs, and I'm Congressional Country Club, which is literally right down the road from me, which is like one of the most famous country clubs. They have like the PGA Open or something like that. I don't follow
the Congressional. They're Congressional. It's called the Congressional. Yeah. That's funny. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, my great grandparents are members. I don't know, but yeah. Like, there's still, I don't believe, to this day, I don't believe there's an American person allowed in the club, and I still don't believe there's a Jewish person allowed in the club. So, like, Crystal...
there's a lot of that. It's ridiculous. Like, there's, you know, each club has their own thing. Like, Jonathan Club had that, you know, rumors about that for years in LA and Santa Monica. And then there was the Los Angeles Country Club. I mean, you know, Bel Air, not as much, but... I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming they're talking about the Los Angeles Country Club because that's the exclusive one. So, yeah, I mean...
And then, I mean, great for them. But yeah, I mean, last night's episode was really all over the place. And I just want, like, as they're saying, like, Cathy Hilton, and Sutton's comparison, and Erika's comparison to Sutton to Cathy Hilton was so, I thought was totally out of character because Cathy Hilton, the only reason she's on this season is for damage control.
I don't know why Cathy. I haven't figured out why Cathy Hilton's on this. You think it's because Paris Hilton released the provo about being sent in the middle of the night, being kidnapped out of her bed in the middle of the night in the dark by her parents, and then brought out. Sorry.
Yeah, and it portrayed Cathy in such a terrible light. It literally portrayed her that Cathy was orchestrating everything, and Cathy was not a compassionate mother. Now, after that documentary, look at her comments underneath her Instagram. She had to turn them off after that documentary. Now she has thousands of new
My
Instagram
kid's playing
followers
video
all
games
saying,
if you hear him. Sorry.
saying how much they loved her, and now all of her comments are saying how much they love her instead of saying how much they hate her. It was complete damage control, and she had a reason to get on because of her sister. And I bet you after this, Cathy will be gone.
I'm doing a show, sweetie. I just wanted you to stop screaming.
Hey, I'm sorry.
My son, Ty baby, he returns. Okay. So he's a lot bigger now. So, yeah. Wait, where were we? Because I lost my track.
Cathy Hilton.
Okay, so let's just back up. And I was saying this, and I'm sorry I'm so passionate about this topic.
Oh, no, it absolutely should be.
But, for those of you who didn't see the documentary, it was like in the middle of the night, Paris is like ripped from her bed and brought downstairs and forced to go in this like car with strangers and like go to Utah. And then is sent to this place where she has really strict requirements, and they basically brutalize her. And we're not really sure how the parents were interacted with in regards to their knowledge base about their kid in this environment. But the kind of feeling is that they either tell the parents we're not going to give you updates, or they say they're doing great and they just trust it or whatever. But anyway, during that whole thing, Paris Hilton's friends were abused, some of them sexually assaulted in that school, and all of these horrible things. And she came back and Paris had like PTSD. Now, she did not let her mom off the hook in that documentary by any means, which is where this came from. And you can still sense in Cooking with Paris, if you watch the episode with her and her mom and Nikki cooking, you can still kind of feel some tension between them, even in that environment. And so I don't know. I mean, I have trouble, like probably some of the audience that saw that documentary, seeing Cathy in this sort of happy-go-lucky,
hunky-dory,
Finding Nemo person. Finding Nemo person. I don't know. Like, it's just weird. I just don't see her that way.
Is what it comes off of. Yeah.
And also, is she down to earth, or is she like a snot? I can't figure that out either. Like one minute she's like, oh yeah, my clothes are, like I don't wear, I wear regular clothes to a dinner party. I'm relaxed, right? You know what I'm saying? And she makes everyone else look like you're overdressed. But then in another one, she's like, oh, do you have the crystal out? That's, wiping the crystal and cleaning the silver. And I'm just like, who are you? Are you a snot or what?
I would just like to point out, Cathy Hilton married into the family that's very important to know, the Hilton family. And her and Rick really did work their way up for nothing. I just want to point that out. She was not a blue blood wasp. I just want everyone to know.
So maybe that's the confusion that I'm sensing. Maybe that is the contradiction of Cathy. So deep down in Cathy is two people. One is this girl that is this Hilton that has become like obsessed with putting on this presentation where she smells the perfume in her house. And another one eats TV dinners with her sister, over, in the den, at a formal lunch, and wears like, and dresses to point and not overdresses. Like maybe that's the
right. I like Cathy. I'm going to be the first to admit I do like her on the show, but I just don't think it's completely genuine,
Yeah.
Next up, that dinner party. Renna did not have just 2 tequilas. I'm sorry. If that girl gets that wasted off 2 tequilas where she is like bobbing her head like she's bobbing for apples, then like she was doing cocaine. Oh, sorry. I don't know if you can say that on YouTube, but snowflakes. She was doing snowflakes.
You better cut that part out or you won't get monetization. So, I think Lisa Rinna is falling into a similar thing that everybody who goes on the show does, which is you self-medicate to get through it. So, I mean, it is not a joyful experience shooting the show. Like that night, I can guarantee you the anxiety everybody had going into that dinner
Oh, I'm sure.
was horrific. Like, if you are going in for surgery, you're probably at that level of anxiety going into that dinner. So a lot of the women, the first thing out of their mouth, you'll notice this on the show, is where's the bar? Where's the drink? Where's the alcohol? If they're not already drinking before they get there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? Because it's that hard. It's hard to face. You know?
And then, yeah. And then also just, I mean, you also kind of hosted one of the biggest housewife dinner parties in earlier seasons, and I think that's important to note.
I did game night. Mine was a game night. It wasn't a dinner party, and I need to set the record straight because Camille went on this like bullshit tangent about there wasn't enough food or something. It was not a dinner. It was a game night. So I had like, it said on the invite, eat before you come. There just will be dessert. Because it's games. Like, it's not a dinner party. Anyway, so
you serve like chocolate and popcorn. I don't know.
No, I hired a formal caterer to do like an elaborate dessert menu. We had dice. Remember, there was like dice on the table and all this crap. Anyway, the point is, I had specifically said to eat before you came to the thing, and no one ate, which caused two problems. Problem number one was, I looked less than, although I did, I had like thousands of pieces of dessert. It's not my fault people don't eat dessert in Beverly Hills. You know what I mean? Like, they're so worried about their fucking figure. But that was number one. Number two was everyone got really drunk because they didn't eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Big problem.
And then back to,
I wouldn't do another game night again, ever. If they ever, I would have been like, no, dinner party. Only dinner parties.
And then the newest, yeah. And then, of course, let's go jumping back to this episode. I mean, just looking at that dinner party, and then also just like, I could have not been the only one. I went on Baccarat's website right after, and I was like, you know what? How many of these candlestick holders do I need? Like, the product placement on this show, let's be honest for a second, that was die-hard product placement.
Well, have you guys seen Baccarat ads on the network?
I have seen Baccarat ads in a similar style in other places. Like, you'll see Baccarat ads in like the plaza or just in other places.
Well,
like,
no, you know why I asked that? Because okay, so Bravo has it in their contract that you're not allowed to do product placement. So if Kyle and Cathy were really doing product placement with the Baccarat things and you don't see ads on Bravo, that means it wasn't Bravo endorsed. So either Cathy snuck a thing where she got some free Baccarat stuff in return for saying it and Kyle was in on it. Or
it was a lot of Baccarat. Sorry.
Well, that and caviar. I mean, they really missed out on the caviar thing. They really needed to get Petrosian as a sponsor or something.
Right? I'm going to be honest. I'm sorry. That's not how I eat caviar. That's not like, it was just
caviar cake.
That was the strangest thing to me. Like, I was just like, what? I've never seen that before, but God bless this episode. And then as we're looking like more and more into this episode, we're seeing this dinner party they're trying to go through, and poor Cathy's house slaves. Sorry.
Wait, but I don't get that either. I meant to ask you, because you pay attention more than I do. Is that guy who's serving them with the trays, is he always her butler? Or is that...
He's not. Okay. A little primer to the dinner party. It's kind of a nod back to like the grand gilded age of like there would be valets and footmen and under butlers. Because to have someone like that on staff 24/7 would just not make financial sense for the family like that, who's constantly traveling, and we haven't seen him in any other episode before. So there was probably the other staff who were there were probably just part of a catering thing that she's hired, or the private chef company that she uses probably had something through it. Like, you can get waiters too. Well, that's my theory on that.
You know what I sensed? I sensed that the reason the women are building Cathy Hilton up so much is because socially, in real life, they want to be in her group. Yeah, they want to be in her group. And so, like, they don't care about Sutton socially
anymore.
That's what I believe. I believe that truly none of the women on the show care about Sutton socially. but they all care about.
Besides Garcelle.
Garcelle, I think, genuinely likes Sutton, and they're genuine friends. I don't think Garcelle's only probably conscious from an interview perspective. Like, she doesn't want to alienate anyone because she has to interview celebrities, right? Yeah. So she has to be balancing that aspect on the show. I feel like all the other women are afraid of Cathy, and they don't want to be alienated from her socially. And so because what unfortunately in reality TV, if you betray someone on the show, you betray them off the show. Right?
Yeah. So
I sense that a lot. I do want to talk about Lisa Rinna's hair in this episode, because what the fuck was it? What was the mullet? What was the mullet? I mean, I've seen like her approach a mullet before, but this was full on mullet. Like, this was like Joe Dirt. Wasn't there a guy named Joe Dirt with a mullet? Get the memes out, guys. Get the memes out.
I know her husband is sexually attracted like to men, but I didn't know she had to like dress as one.
Oh, Jesus. No, I don't believe that rumor. I don't believe that.
Okay.
Unless you know something I don't. I don't believe that one.
I have allegedly PA receipts from Mad Men, and someone had to order Harry Hamlin something on that set that was a
What? Can you say it?
No, I cannot.
Okay, but just like, okay, so I don't get it, because he seems like he was also supposedly having an affair with some woman who's like a loosey-goosey in the sky with diamonds out of Canada. So like, he must be he's bi, obviously, then. Or
he's not in that house all the time. Like, let's be honest, these two do not live together. If they lived, like, they just don't live together. You can see like how a married couple behaves, and it's like, she doesn't know where a fire hose is in her house. She doesn't know where any of this stuff is, you know?
You don't think she lives in his house? I think that he may go away. He has like maybe other places he goes, but I think they probably, I mean, here's my thing. He's eccentric. I mean, I do think he's a free spirit. I don't totally get their relationship together, but they have been together for like 20 years and they have 2 kids. And so, I mean, maybe they just have a weird relationship.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah, but, and I think, have we gone through all of the ladies who mattered? Oh, Doritos.
Yeah, Dorito. Yeah, what should we say about Dorit? Dorit was very good in this episode for the first time in a very long time. Yeah.
Right? I was surprised that, like, I'm sorry. I was expecting, you know what, this season, I'm expecting that, like, I was really thought Dorit was going to be fired, and I think this was her saving grace episode.
Oh, she needed it so bad. Like, oh my God, did she need it? I was like feeling the same thing. The heat was on. She really needed to bring it. But I will say this, okay? I was really happy with Dorit at Cathy Hilton's dinner party, because she did stick to her guns. And she said the one thing that I like was kind of like, why isn't anyone saying it? Which is, you know, that there is ramifications for people being around this. And Erika just, what really comes across the episode to me was how selfish Erika is. That all she can do is think about herself. It's just such a theme. It's a theme within her friends. How can you be doing this to me? How, you know, dare you judge me? Right? Like, it's all about, from her perspective, it just shows she's such a narcissist. It's incredible. So I wonder, you know, God, I just was sad that no one pulled her fake ponytail out. I was like, where's Staub when we need her?
Right? Oh my goodness. Let's talk about this for a second. That diamond necklace. What do we think about that?
What diamond? Was she wearing a diamond necklace?
She was wearing a diamond necklace. It was the same necklace that she wore at the beginning of at the beginning of the season at Dorit's Encino, like, I don't know, party. the first episode.
Well, it's probably fake, honestly.
It has to be.
No,
Like,
it's probably fake. A lot of the girls wore fake jewelry. I never did on the show. And then Lisa Vanderpump took me aside one day and she said, you know, she talks, darling. She goes, no, we don't wear, you know, we don't wear real jewels on the show. They're too small. You have to wear the big jewels, the show on camera. So then I learned, okay, so the seasoned girls know not to wear the real thing because it looks small. And so in order to look like, you know, really ostentatious on camera, you have to have fake, you know, giant diamond. You know, like the other day, it was so funny. I was hanging out with Adam in Miami, you know, up in Adam. So we were hanging out. And I know you guys had a little thing for a bed, but you guys have put that behind you.
Great now.
I know.
Yeah,
and I know that. And everybody should know that. But Adam said to me, we were swimming, and he was like, you know, you look so thin. And I was like, I go, isn't it crazy when you saw me on Housewife in the Hostel, I look like a Oompa Loompa. And I'm like, it's so crazy. And he was like, it is crazy. He couldn't get over it. Like, he said it like 5 times. And I was like, TV is just really awful. It's so hard. Like
when it comes to that stuff, yeah.
Oh my God, it's the worst. It puts 20 pounds on your body and takes your jewels and makes them like look shrimpy.
I know.
It's like the opposite.
Like, you need a 20 carat to look like a 10 carat. I mean, but then, and I have a question. This has been bothering me. Now, you guys, I know this is bad, but I like fur. And I know that animal, and I was looking at the show, and it was in season 2, and they all go to Beaver Creek or whatever Camille had the home in. And Lisa's wearing the fur. I have never in my life seen faux fur that looks that real. Because, and I have seen, and especially fur technology was not the way it was like 10 years ago. So, like, Dana, you can probably attest to this. Do you think it was real or do you think it was fake?
I mean, I think it was real. I think I hate to say it, but back then, I think most of the fur was real.
I think it's very obvious.
And I highly regret, you know, that, by the way, but yeah.
And then I'm just looking at that, and like Lisa's faux fur, like sable thing, I'm like, you can tell that's fake from a mile. Like, it's interesting how they think that they can make fur look real in this show, I'll be honest, but...
The weirdest things bother you, Andrew.
I know, right? I know.
Like, that is so random.
I know, but I've been wanting to ask you that question for like months, and I don't know why I haven't asked you, but then let's talk about the Housewife and the Hustler. So you told me something really interesting about why Danielle was on, because a lot of people were asking, why is Danielle on? Why is this? And Andy was like being a terrible person, and I'm sorry. I do not like Andy Cohen. I never will after what he did to you guys. But
well, he was just very unfair because, you know, he called into question like that we had the right to essentially be a part of that show in a sense. And that was really unfair for a few reasons. Number one, it was pretty clear that he hadn't watched the show when he made the comment. Because the way that, you know, I had discussed things was very much as a reporter. Danielle not, but that wasn't her purpose for the show. And number two, anyone who knew what I was doing at that time knew that on the Patreon, I was the first person to interview Ronald Richards, actually, before he was what everybody knows as Ronald Richards. I was the first, before he was the trustee's attorney. Okay, I interviewed him about, you know, this topic. Jay Edelson, I had interviewed. I was one of the few people that had interviewed him right after actually like within weeks of this, what was on the show this week. I had interviewed Matt Hamilton from the LA Times, who broke the story with Harriet about the California bar and all of those things that had happened with that. And I had spoken to several of the victims because of my Patreon. So although they didn't come on the show, we talked. And I heard their side of things, and we shared, you know, those things. So in actuality, I had reported on it probably more than anyone at that time.
And you broke the news of the divorce. Like, let's be honest.
I did. I
How
broke the
everyone
divorce.
got the information, because you were very active and you had, you know, ears to the ground, and you were like, there were rumblings that this was going to happen, and you said it was either Lisa, Kyle, or Erika.
And I buried it a little bit because I didn't want to get in trouble, because it really was not out at all.
Yeah.
So I was conscious of that. Yeah.
And it was so great. And then I just want to talk about, so the reason Dana was into it, you said it was just kind of a tribute to Danielle was into it, sorry, it was just as a tribute to the fans, it was something for the fans, right?
Right, because originally when they did the Housewife, if you watch the show, you'll notice that they show a section of Dishing Drama and Dana. So they do like a segment from my show with Jay Edelson. They had me represented as I wanted to be, which was not as a housewife, as like a person reporting, which is how I went on the show. The producer of ABC was a fan of my Patreon. And so she asked me on that basis. It had nothing to do with the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. That was like a nice tie-in. Like it was a nice bonus situation for them. The way that they wanted Danielle, I think a few reasons Danielle was on. Number one, Danielle had been on my show, which the ABC producer heard because she was watching, she's in my Patreon. So she heard Danielle, and then Danielle went off and she did, I think, one interview on her own about the Erika topic as well, and she did that. And I think what happened was, I think the producers originally wanted to do a lot more about the Bravo universe, because we were asked a lot of questions about that they never actually used, okay? And I think the reason is they felt, probably after editing it together, this is speculation, but I believe they felt that it took away from the content, the serious content of the victims that were, you know, that had been screwed by Tom, and the facts surrounding what Tom did to those people. So they put Danielle Staub in as a way to kind of be a shout out to the Bravo universe without having to go into all that Bravo, you know, tea or whatever, and diminish the serious content, because that was more important to ABC to tell that story. And they did a fabulous job. They put Danielle in the beginning and the end. They have her doing the housewife bitchy thing. They have her do the fashion entrance. They didn't need to do more than that. That was like a shout out to all the Bravo people, I think.
Yeah.
By an icon. And you know, you can say whatever you want. You can say whatever you want about Danielle, and I know all of her stuff because I know everyone's shit. So it's like there's no one's stuff I don't know. I know how evil and good, and you know, some people had different moments in their life where they were awesome, and some people are just, you know, awful the whole time. And but that all said,
Danielle did not have a good childhood. I just want to say that for a second.
No,
Danielle did not have a good childhood for anyone. She literally walked in on her baby brother, on her like younger brother's like. I don't think I can say that, but like, you got the picture. He was no longer,
But the point is like Danielle's thing is this, right? You know, when you go on YouTube and you Google iconic moments, Danielle Staub, okay?
Yep.
You're gonna get a 55-minute video, okay? You do that with pretty much anyone else, you're getting 10 minutes at best. Okay?
Right. They really love pushing like the Erika Jayne's most fabulous moments, or Erika Jayne like 0 to 100 on YouTube. And I'm like, bravo. Do we really think this woman's that interesting? Like, I'm sorry. Like, Erika, she can't really sing, I'm going to be honest. You know, because her entire husband, we know that like her entire career was paid for by her husband because it was just really the talent of other people, you know? People who were writing her songs, people who were in the editing bay, choreographers, you know, all that stuff.
Well, supposedly they bought her onto the charts too.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And Dana, I just think you would enjoy this. So for those of you guys who don't know, we won the Bravo we won jerseys from the Girardi auction. the bankruptcy auction, and we're calling ourselves the Bravo referees, and we're gonna get like little whistles. So forever invited to BravoCon or Dana's like not invited con. Which
I love that. Dana's not invited con. It's so classic.
Like,
that's what I'm going to call it.
Yeah, and Dana, I'm just gonna notice. I did notice that the Sonia Morgan's townhome did go off market, so I know you wanted to see if you could get that place for 24 hours. So
I actually reached out to the agent because thank you for sending it, and I asked if I could rent it for BravoCon, and I said how much would it cost, and I would get the proper insurance and everything, but they didn't return. So she must have either been committed to selling it, or she found out it was me and was like, holy, don't talk to her. I'm going to get in trouble.
I know, but apparently Sonia's town is off market, and I was just like, you know what, we'll see.
Maybe she sold it.
It would have been marked as sold. It's just been taken off market.
Oh, geez. Well, let's hope she's made money. Maybe she doesn't need to sell it anymore. It's such a treasure to have a brownstone in New York. So hard to get.
I know. It's a beautiful home. And then I didn't realize how wealthy Tom Girardi was, even though it was like made from totally illegal means, like by all means, like it was completely ill-gotten gains. I just didn't think that there was someone that wealthy on that show, to be honest. We're finding out that there are hundreds of millions of dollars.
Well, yeah, he was being paid legal fees that were enormous, and he was making huge, getting huge deferred payments, 40% of $100 million settlements, a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if he was doing it on contingency, Sorry, I keep fixing my hair because I was telling Andrew this earlier, but it flips the picture around, and like one side of my head I hate. And it's the head, it's like when they flip it, it drives me nuts. I look much better and like proper.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, but yes. And then we're looking at this, and then this is all coming out, and me and you have talked about this extensively, just about where it's gone, where it's going. And I just think that like that law firm and their home is just an example of just, indulgence and greed and what happens to the worst, what the worst of people represents. And I think that's why that home is going to take forever to sell, because
oh yeah, well it's dropping like a lead balloon, but I think it'll sell around 6 million. That's my gut, because it's got a lot of land. But Pasadena is, it's eh.
It's,
it's
yeah,
eh.
It's also on like the weirdest lot. Like the home, it's like a long, like it's not like your home, like when you go into a home and it's like you got your front yard, your backyard, they just have a side yard and it just goes on to the side forever.
That's the one that like the guy who designed Central Park or something designed his, I mean, it's just, that's so upsetting. Poor me has to go live in a $9,000 a month house. Oh, poor me. Oh, poor me. Oh, I've got to make $500,000 being on a reality show. You should feel so bad about my nuked life. Oh, fuck you.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Their honest opinion about her. But I mean, and I would like to point out, Ronald Richards has done reporting, and he has determined that Tom does not live at that retirement home.
Yeah, well, I couldn't figure that out. Like, I didn't talk about that because I saw it. Ronald said that there's no sign that Tom Girardi's registered. He said he called or somehow they called or contacted the home, and they're not admitting that Tom Girardi's there. They're saying it's a month-to-month situation, and that the cost of the home is, the senior center facility is $7,000 to $9,000 a month, which means it's not covered by Medicare. Because Medicare will cover a home, but not at that level for just a room. That's not treatment, that's a room. That's different. A room, Medicare will cover up to $2,500 for the room per month. And then your additional medical costs, obviously. But certainly not with a starting cost of $7,500 or $9,000 a month, unless you have long-term, insurance for long-term care. And I don't know, maybe Tom had that.
I just can't buy it, you know. And as we're just looking, and I mean, Erika, as she's finally gotten slapped with some lawsuits, some $25 million, which in my fear is that she's just going to file bankruptcy and she's going to do exactly what she's done, is hide her assets. Because if you look at it, I know for a fact that Range Rover is leased. Sorry, let me just get my fingers into the view. Her Range Rover is leased. The house is rented. Therefore, her two major assets that people can find are gone in a bankruptcy. So therefore, you know, you can't really take back a rental because it's not someone's to take back in that case. The jewelry can somehow disappear or go, or she can say she doesn't have it. It's easy to lose jewelry, you know, in that sense.
Well, I mean, here's the deal. If she files for bankruptcy, which, I mean, she would have to be forced to file for bankruptcy, I have a feeling, with just based on her persona. I think she would be, like, they'd have to actually go to court and force it to happen. If that occurred and she did hide assets, it would be bankruptcy fraud, which is exactly what Teresa Giudice and her husband were, you know, done. And it would be really interesting to see if she would take that kind of risk.
Yeah. And now one thing that we cannot figure out anywhere is, and this is a little story for you guys, and me and Dana, we literally spent a weekend doing this. Like, this was insane.
Was this one of our fun projects together?
Yes. Well, this is when we were trying to figure out what happened to that Gulf Stream, because if there's an asset to hide, it's this. And we have talked about this, but like, we have found out that it's between in the G&E partners and G&E, which is the company, which is funny, which I think is funny.
Wait, I have to tell you something. Oh my God, I meant to tell you this. So I was looking at the trustee had filed a document, and I put it on the Patreon, just so you know, Andrew. And in it, it says all the companies that they believe Tom Girardi's related to. But they did not put Girardi Finance, which is very strange. Why isn't Girardi Finance in there? Because we know for a fact that David Lira and Erika Jayne Girardi was on that company. But that would mean that he wasn't the shareholder of it, or they just missed it. But I mean, Jay Edelson, if you remember, in his lawsuit with the Lion Air victims, he specifically named that he wanted the accounting records of that company. So I'm now wondering, like, I'm so confused by that. I just wanted to say that to you. All the other companies you and I found were there. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that was insane.
Yeah, and EJ Records, it turns out, EJ Records is actually a DBA for EJ Global.
Ooh, don't we just love that?
Yeah, so that actually wasn't a real company either. Like, none of these companies, they were all like shells.
They're all shells.
Yeah.
And I think we're looking at this plane, and I forgot the name of the man. It's Roy Edelson, or it's so similar to Roy T. Edelson. Oh my goodness. Sorry, but I said it in a video not too long ago, but you guys can talk about that. And I mean, this man's incredibly wealthy. About like a $53 million home, pandemic, like, you know, he definitely has the cash. So why is he reading with Tom? He was a huge donator to the University of California, Irvine, donating $1 million paintings. So this man's incredibly wealthy, and yet he's helping Tom hide a plane. So this has to be some paper or something.
Well, I guess Ronald's feeling about that was that that gentleman was like, you know, basically buying half the plane to charter it with Tom. That was his attitude. I don't know, you know, I don't know, but I did ask Ronald about that, and he said that he felt that that was what that was. But it's still weird. I mean, I don't know, like, I feel like, you know, I feel like definitely there was some sort of reach out by Tom Girardi to that gentleman, you know, that he was looking for a partner on the plane. Like, there was some conversation, but I have a big question for everyone. And I'm going to give you this question. Are you ready, Andrew? I've been waiting to ask someone this. Okay, everyone get ready. Here it is. Why did Tom Girardi say he had cancer to Jay Edelson on his many voicemails to not pay the bill that he owed the Lion Air victims and Jay Edelson's fees, and then that cancer suddenly went away and became Alzheimer's?
I think because I think Tom knew this was happening, and I think they knew that I think this was all planned. I want to say a year in advance that they think this, once the pandemic was announced and everything was starting to unravel, because that's what happens in a Ponzi scheme. Like when something like a world event happens, things just start to unravel. And I think they started to realize that, and they needed to find a plan. And I think they were testing the waters with cancer, and then that didn't work. They couldn't find something to lie about it. So then, okay, let's do Alzheimer's, because we can get that to work. We can make that to make sense. We can get Erika to agree to this on the show. We can all tie it in beautifully and just make it look like a story that's coherent. I fully think that this was planned before the divorce was announced publicly, that plan was announced 6 to 8 months before this whole thing happened, that before the divorce was announced.
Well, and if you go look at the cliff behind the house, which of course we all did, but it's steep. That is a steep cliff. If he truly fell off that cliff, his car would have rolled. There would have been a police report. For sure there would have been a police report.
No police report.
Yeah.
There has to be. And
there wasn't. Matt Hamilton looked from the LA Times. There was no police report.
I know there's no police report. And if you look at that, it's right near a public road. So therefore, and it's a public road that's popular. I literally did the traffic testing to see how many cars go past that a road, how many cars go past that, how many cars go on it a day, essentially. And I found that a car, it's every 4.3 seconds a car goes, there's not time to be on a car on that road during the time of the accident, apparently. So someone would have saw Tom. This is not, it just can't happen. There had to have been a police report if this happened. He would have had much more serious injuries. I don't care if he was in a tank. He still would have been tossed around like sneakers in a dryer.
No, I know. It's ridiculous. But what are you going to do? Unfortunately, this is what we're left with. And, I wish that we could talk about something else about the show, because I'm sick of the topic, like a lot of people probably are. But they keep honing it in on that. So, what do we really have in the last episode besides that? And, Dorit's wedding gowns, which, by the way, I have a shit ton of gossip about that.
Embezzlement dresses, that's what I'm going to call them. They're not embellished dresses. They're embezzlement dresses. I have to be honest. Because, they're so ugly.
You're so bitchy.
No, that is not a wedding dress. That is a dress with a slit. That's a red carpet dress. I have never known a bride, to be oh, I want to have a gigantic, body tight hugging, Grammy-esque looking, MTV Music Award looking gown. Never. That is not a wedding dress. Maybe I'm just too conservative and I don't know, and that's not what wedding dresses should be, but no one is going to buy that. Also, wedding dresses are expensive. Who do you think is going to buy it? We're going to be going to Kleinfeld's and we're going to be seeing Dorit's dresses there.
Okay, so I cannot give you this today, Andrew. Okay, and I'm afraid I'll have to tease this, but I may be launching a YouTube channel for short, not super, super deep dive topics, but more mid-range. And I may be dropping a 12 to 15 minute video about all the shit about these dresses, because there's way more. And I'm going to leave you on that. And then it's going to drop, I think, on my YouTube channel, which, by the way, I don't even know what my YouTube channel is, but I guess you could just Google my name and you'll find it. But it will drop on Sunday night, and you will know everything you need to know about those wedding dresses and Dorit. And there's so much. Well, there's 14 minutes of Dana. You know how I don't like lack of content. I like to have content heavy. Yeah.
Content heavy.
Yeah, I'm content heavy. There's not a lot of fluff in my conversations because I don't know how to do that. I'm like the crap. That's why I was terrible at Housewives, because I would just be like, "Hi, how are you?" Okay, that's ugly.
Right? Like, I'm sorry. If you guys notice in my videos, people get mad at me all the time. Andrew, I want to hear you talk for 15 minutes. And I'm like, I can't talk for 15 minutes about this topic because it's just like, I cannot talk about, you know, Jill Zarin not being asked back to the Real Housewives for 15 minutes. I'm sorry, guys. Like, me and Dana, we're like both content-heavy people. It's like I give you what you need to know in like 3 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard. It is hard to be foofy, you know. But anyway, so I'm gonna tell you that, Andrew, because then you can get on there and take it to the next level if you want. Okay? Because my YouTube content that I'm gonna do is not the you know. It's like, let's say that the Patreon content is level 10 juicy. Like the YouTube channel is going to be like level 3 juicy, level 4. But still way more juicy than most people.
Wow. Oh my goodness, wait, sorry. I'm trying to, my comments are being...
Oh my God, are
okay,
people being mean to you, Andrew? I'll kick ass. Don't be mean to Andrew.
No. No. All right, everyone, as you know, we talk about this stuff, and if you guys, I've been talking about Erika literally since the day the divorce was announced. I was like, this is a sham, this is fishy, let me contact some people, and like, this is where something is. So, like, Dana has gone fully in-depth. Please keep in mind, this is not my full-time job. Dana goes way more in-depth than me. And we have found we're working on some great stories. And, of course, let's tune in, everyone, this week to hear about the Dorit wedding dresses. Everyone.
If you can find my YouTube channel, because I don't even know how, I'm just learning it all, so.
Yes. And everyone, it is now, we've talked for almost like 55 minutes.
Okay, so, wow. I'm so sorry. That was a lot. Probably people are like, oh my God, blow my brains out.
My goodness. But yes, everyone, I would like to thank everyone because Dana does not do podcast appearances just for everybody. And she turns on the camera, especially for us. She is really fantastic. And I cannot believe that I can even say that Dana's a friend of mine.
I am.
Like, when I started this a year ago, this is like my 1-year anniversary being on YouTube too. Like, being in this world. Such a great way to commemorate it. Dana's fantastic as a person, as a Bravo fan, and just as like, I'm even gonna point out as a mother, but you guys probably don't even know that.
Oh, Andrew, you're like my little other son.
Oh, my goodness. But yes, so thank you guys. If you guys want to rewatch this video, if you guys missed anything, please go and check out Dana's podcast. If you like us, we have 3 episodes on Dana's Patreon.
Oh yeah, they're juicy, very.
Of like an hour and 30 minutes of us just talking like this.
And we do Bling Empire. We do everything. We do, I mean, I do aliens. I do it all, okay? I love I'm like all about secrets and government and Bravo and just everything. Like
everything.
Yeah, and so law.
I go way more in depth on Dana's channel. So if you guys want to see me, like, we're talking Luann de Lesseps, deep in depth. So if you guys remember, I was featured in the article and I broke the news that like Luann's son doesn't talk to her anymore, that it's weird. And then right after that, of course, you know, and some news outlets picked it up and, you know, that kind of went everywhere. And we kind of go in depth on that and what happened, how that happened, who gave me that story, which is so good. And that's a great episode. And then the PPP loans go more in depth. So everyone,
political donations you did. We did the ownership of the jet. We did an analysis of the ownership of the jet, and we did the Black Hawk Down helicopters breaking into Tom's building in the middle of the night. Because it turns out that building, that's the Guatemalan Cultural Center. If you guys don't know the people who know, was Tom's building. And if you haven't gone there, you need to. It's so good.
And then, oh my goodness. And then I think I'll just leave on this one note. When we went in depth on Sonia Morgan's divorce, that was a great day.
Yeah, that was a good one. That's how
she found me. That's how Dana found me, everyone. She was watching on Terrell. So thank you, everyone, for watching. I would just love you guys to leave a thumbs up. And thank you guys so much for watching us for an hour.
Bye.
Bye. There we go.